When Deadpool woke up inside a diner after suffering from a food coma, he immediately realized that something was odd about the place since everything was a complete mess. And as he decided to leave, he noticed a letter written by the owner, explaining that they had locked the doors for him before evacuating the area to keep him safe. But despite the warning, Deadpool was still confused about the danger they mentioned until he finally stepped outside and saw that the entire city was deserted. And as his memories started coming back to him, he remembered hearing news about the world being corrupted by some kind of virus. However, he had ignored it at the time, thinking it was nothing unusual since the world was already a chaotic mess. And after this, Deadpool began searching for survivors until he eventually noticed someone walking toward him from afar. But before he could react, a zombie lunged at him trying to take a bite. But Deadpool quickly evaded the attack and chopped off the zombie's head before shooting it down. But unfortunately, the sound of gunfire only attracted more zombies who started charging toward him. And while Deadpool fought as fiercely as he could, he was soon cornered until a group of survivors arrived in a truck and began shooting down the zombies and urged Deadpool to hop in, and together, they escaped the area. And once everything calmed down, Deadpool was briefed by a man named Radcliffe, who explained what had happened during his absence, and told Deadpool that the zombies retained fragments of their consciousness which allowed them to speak, and that Deadpool was in fact the only remaining hero in the world. And while driving through the city, the group came across a destroyed police barricade, and because of this, Deadpool decided to investigate, and Radcliffe, along with two kids, followed him. But when they realized there were too many zombies nearby, they decided to retreat only to discover that one of their companions had already turned into a zombie and was now attacking their driver. And after putting both of them down, Deadpool and the remaining survivors took the truck and drove off to find another safe place. And for several weeks, they traveled across different places until they finally settled in a remote mountainous area. But during that night, Radcliffe woke Deadpool in a panic after noticing that the kids were missing. And when they searched the nearby cemetery, they found that both kids had turned into zombies and had bitten Radcliffe to death. And with no other choice, Deadpool was forced to kill them all. And when morning came, Deadpool noticed a bite mark on his arm, but it quickly healed thanks to his regenerative powers. And realizing he couldn't stay any longer, he decided to continue his journey until he eventually stumbled upon a town filled with evacuees after killing a group of deranged old women who were trying to invade it. And while exploring the town, Deadpool was approached by several children who told him that he wasn't the first hero to arrive, where it was then revealed to Deadpool that they were referring to a former AIM scientist who had taken refuge there. And because of this, Deadpool immediately confronted the scientist to ensure he wasn't plotting anything dangerous, and the scientist explained that he had abandoned his evil ways and confessed that he was one of the people responsible for creating the zombie virus in the first place after a failed experiment to use Deadpool's blood as a cure for the dead. And after hearing this revelation, Deadpool went to his quarters to rest. However, during his sleep, his body began transforming into a zombie, and he ended up becoming the very creature that infected and destroyed the entire town. But just a few hours later, his healing factor finally kicked in and restored his consciousness. But by then, it was already too late. And because of this, Deadpool decided to decapitate the zombified AIM scientist and use his head as a guide on his journey to the laboratory where the virus was first created, with hopes to finish the cure they had started. And upon entering the facility, Deadpool dodged hordes of zombies while taunting them with his usual sarcasm. And when he finally reached the final room, he saw countless failed test subjects who were the remnants of the experiments that caused the apocalypse. But unfortunately, the zombies he had evaded earlier had also caught up to him, and realizing he had no chance of developing a cure, Deadpool chose to make one last stand and drank all the remaining experimental fluids made from his blood to boost his adrenaline. And after hours of relentless fighting, Deadpool finally gave up and allowed the zombies to bite him. But instead of dying, his consciousness spread across every infected creature in the room, with the real Deadpool controlling them all.